Hi, you are welcome to this class right again. This is a beautiful day. I'm very happy to be here. If you have not watched my previous video, please do because this is a build up of on the last or previous video. So we're going to proceed to NumPy, which is part 3 right now. So today we're going to do what is called shape. First of all, I want to show you how to comment, like write a kind of a text note on your Jupyter notebook. It's quite very simple. So you come to this cell, you see run type to markdown. So it's a markdown cell. For code cell is Y, for markdown is M. So you can just convert it to, if you are here, if you are in this code cell now, you can convert it to markdown. So this will enable you to be able to, you can use hash now to start writing. If you write at 2 hash, that will give you a smaller text, but 1 hash will get. So today I'm going to show you shape of NumPy array. NumPy array. So if you are doing something like this, so if I'm going to run it now, if I run it, see, yeah, so it's giving me a big bold caption. Now let's look at the shape. Now we have, when we talk about shape actually tells you the number of, it gives you the number of rows and columns. Somehow, if in some context you can use it to understand the number of rows and columns, but actually it's an indication, or it's just an attribute that shows you the total number of elements in each dimension. So you want to know the total number of elements in each dimension, you got to see how you do that. You have, when I say dimension now, you have 0 dimension, you have 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. If you remember, that's what we did yesterday. So let's look at the first dimension. The first dimension is this. Make sure you run everything again. If you list start your Jupyter notebook, run NumPy import now, so that we recognize your NumPy. Because when you shut it, your system, that you on it again, the Jupyter server is disconnected. So you run everything again, you see that it will work. So the first one, the 0, we name it as data. The 0 dimension, we name it as data, which is just 42. The other one, which is data 1, is 1 dimension. The other one is data 2 dimension. Data 2 is 2 dimension. So you're going to see what it gives us. So you want to know the total number of elements here now. For the first one is 0 element, 0 dimension, so it will not give you anything in there. So let me just do it and see. So for 0 dimension, sorry, I'll make it a comment now. So for zero dimension, so it was what? Data 1. You can just say data 1 dot shape. Sorry, it's data dot shape, please. That is the previous data. You see, data 1 dot shape. So if you run it, you see that there's nothing there. 0 dimension, there's nothing there. So it's 0 dimension, and because it's 0 dimension, it doesn't recognize, it's not having shape. In other words, if something is not having dimension, it's shapeless. So you can't really it's shapeless. So that is just there's nothing in the dimension. It doesn't have dimension. That is why. So the other one, you're going to look at this now. The data 1 now. Data 1 is this one, which is 2, 4. So how many elements there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to show you at the first dimension, which is the row dimension now, it's going to show you 5. But at the column dimension, it will not give you anything, because you can't really, it's just not there. So it's 1 dimension. A single dimension is just something like a row. It doesn't have rows and column. You can identify the position by rows and column. You can represent it in XY axis in vector space, like in just like Cartesian geometry now, for instance, or coordinate geometry also. So let's go to this place now. So that data 1 dot shape now, so it's going to show you stuff here. So if I run it, it's going to show me is 5, just a single dimension, not, that's why there's nothing else here. So it's going to show me 5 elements in this, only that single dimension. So that is that. So let's go to data 2. Data 2 is this one. So what it's going to show me is going to show me, because there are 2 dimensions now, you can represent the rows and column. So it's going to show you for rows, it's going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 by the first row. The column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, there are 2 row is 1, 2. Row is 2. Then column is vertical. About 5 items there. So it's going to be represented in rows and column, as I've said, and it will definitely from there you can get the total number of elements. So if you do data 1 dot wash sorry, data 2 is data 2 dot shape now. So what it's going to show you is this. So let's run it and see what it's given. So it's going to show you how many are the row. There are 2 row and there are rows, and then there are 5 columns. So if you multiply 2 times 5 give you 10. So it shows you the total number of elements there too. So let's go to this. Look at it. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So there are 10 elements there. That is the indication of that shape. So the other one is data 3. So data 3 is going to show me x, y, z, just like x, y, z. Now for instance, data 3 is a 3D array, so you can represent it in rows, column, and just like length, breadth, and height. So it's going to give you about how many rows. It gives you 2 rows. Then how many column will always be at the last, which is possibly like five columns. Then there are how many in the x-axis, how many dimension there, about 2. So just like this, let me show you here. So you have something like this. This is exactly what I did. How many? So you have this stack here, you understand, just like this stack here. Then behind it too, there's another stack there. There's another stack behind it. So that's what it's giving. So in this one, let's measure on only this 1 2. We are not talking about this 1 2. So in this case now, this is the first surface. Second surface is inside. So in this case now, if you consider only this one, you have this surface. This is, you can say, okay, there are how many rows, whatever. Then there are also this place now is 2. In terms of, there is one surface here, there's another surface here, making 2. Then also you can, row is 1 2. This one, in this case now, row is 4. Then before you talk about the column, 1 2 3. But in this case, so let's look at our own stuff here now. Our own. So our own is going to be, let's run it and see what it gives us. It's going to be 2 2 5. 2 2 5. That is 2 rows. There are 2 rows here. This one is stuck in the back, making the other one is 2 at the, there are, in terms of counting the other way, at y-axis there are 2, and then the columns are 5. So let's look at it now. Let's run it. So it's data 3 dot what shape. So if you run it, you see it's going to be 2 2 5. So, and if you multiply everything together, 2 times 2 4, 4 times 5 20. There will be 20 elements there. 1 2 3 4. This is 10. This is 10. So this is about 20 elements. So this one gives you the total number of elements in that array. You can also use to know the total number of columns, especially when you're using 2 dimension. So you can know the total number of rows and columns. But when it comes to 3 dimension, it becomes a little bit hard for you to visualize it, but you can still know the number of rows. The number of because we are not representing things by rows and column again. So we are moving beyond that to know the number of elements, and also at the XY axis, XYZ axis. So that is where I'm going to stop today. I believe you are able to understand this shape. Shape is different from dimension. Shape gives you total number of elements in an array, NumPy array. Then the other one, which is dimension, just show you the dimensions, like which kind of dimension array is, does it a data or a data set belongs to. So this thing is going to be very helpful for you in the future when we are representing images are representing 3-dimensional vector space. So that is the length, just like rows and column, and then the color, making 3 rows, column, and the color. The color, if it's 3 RGB, that's 3, that it's going to be 3. So these things are very critical for us. That's why we are doing this first of all. So thank you very much, and do have a nice day. I'll see you tomorrow.